Saskatchewan produces oil. We need to get that oil to market. Now, different factors determine the price per barrel. Right now, prices are historically low. Why is that? One, there's too much supply. Two, transportation. Experts say we're in trouble. There are three ways to move oil: truck, rail, and of course, pipelines. Now, our pipelines are pretty full. That leaves us with rail and truck, and those are expensive. So a lack of transportation capacity plus too much supply equals low prices. Now, that's a pretty high-level synopsis of the issue we have before us. What has been Premier Scott Moe's messaging around this?
Very simple. Get the pipelines built, get them in the ground, get them moving oil, cut off that price differential. He says the federal government owns Trans Mountain now. They need to get it built, they need to get oil moving. That would help cut up the price differential. Both Premier Notley and Scott Moe say that it costs, Trans Mountain being delayed costs about $80 million a day to the Canadian economy. And that right there shows you that we need the pipeline built in Moe and Notley's mind, in the mind of many people in the industry that are economists say that that would help cut off this differential. Now, the other thing at play here is getting another pipeline built potentially, which is Energy East, which the new Premier of New Brunswick, Blaine Higgs, has said he wants to resurrect. That would get Western Canadian oil out to the East Coast. So those two main things, and one other is Bill C-69, which would place more stringent requirements on pipeline projects in the future. People like Brad Wall, obviously Scott Moe, and others want that bill scrapped, repealed. They say it would hurt the oil industry, hurt the economy. And now that's another ask from Premier Scott Moe.
Now, Moe has taken this to Montreal, where he's at for the First Minister's meeting. He says he wants it to be productive.
What I will be doing in approaching this meeting is approaching it with a mind to finding solutions.
But there have been disagreements over what's on the agenda.
I know where all the exits are because I was there on October 3rd of 2016.
So at the same time, we've seen Alberta's Premier take some pretty drastic measures. Why isn't Saskatchewan doing the same?
Well, there's a few reasons. One is that Alberta has a different, similar problem, but different, because they rely more on heavy oil. The oil sands we can think of, that gets a worse price. That hurts them more when it comes to the differential. Saskatchewan has about 60% of its oil is considered light, so not that heavy oil sands oil, and they get a better price. So he says we're not as affected by this differential. The second thing that Alberta did was they're deciding to buy rail cars maybe to move oil. Scott Moe says again, for some of the same reasons. Saskatchewan's not going to go down that path, but people need to keep in mind that when it comes to making budget decisions and programming for the province, we do rely on resource revenue. We rely on it less than we did in the past, but we do have a deficit that the government wants to get back to balance by March.
Okay, the budget's going to be one of the big political stories of 2019. That usually comes out in the spring. But right now, the politicians, they're on break. But just because the MLAs are, that doesn't mean we are. CBC Saskatchewan will continue to bring you politics coverage. You can follow along, cbc.ca/sask.